Mongol Empire is invading our home. They are brutal, relentless, unstoppable.
Jin's description of the Mongols can be directly applied to him by the end of the game.
We are 80 samurai against an army.
The samurai code is like nothing we've ever seen on Earth. I know I'm being a little hyperbolic, but for real. 80 samurai against thousands, and they go into battle knowing full well they're going to die. Not many doctrines are as hardcore like the samurai are here. It's amazing how cinematic our games can be. Coming off of an RPG like Cyberpunk to a game like this is a little jarring, in a good way. Here in single-player games, they get to be so much more intentional and meaningful with all aspects of production. Camera, lighting, sound, music. Games at this point are just super long, interactive movies, and I love it so much. So much that I felt the need to create a channel devoted to it.
Send your finest warrior to face me!
Well, their supposed finest warrior did show up to bat, even if he decided to just start stealing bases before hitting the ball. Was that a bad analogy? Oh well, I'm sticking with it. The entire opening is wonderfully cinematic, and you can already start to feel the Kurosawa influences throughout, especially with the use of natural elements such as wind and fire. And of course, everyone knows at this point that Ghost of Tsushima is a beautiful love letter to Akira Kurosawa. Game director Nate Fox touting Seven Samurai and Sanjuro as the main influences. The team held such respect for the man, they went to create an entire mode named after him, going out of the way to contact the Kurosawa estate to get permission to name the mode after. There's something about respecting and honoring the greatness that came before you that I really admire and hope to see more people do.
We're all that's left.
They knew the outcome, and they knew how little they would actually be slowing the Mongols, but they rode into battle anyway. No one wavering.
I'll fight beside you to the end.
Well, technically, he does. Kinda. Instead of by his side, it's in front of him. Against him. See what I meant about showing respect to what came before? I mean, yeah, it's a little hollow, but let me have this.
So I'll ask you once again, Samurai, do you surrender?
And no words are needed. This look of determination says it all. Show don't tell, my friends. Leagues more powerful than any line of dialogue could have composed. Jin's father is the guiding winds. For all Sucker Punch wanted to avoid the supernatural, this is as wild as it gets. With the red leaves swirling around him after he fails his second father, this is just the first hint that it's his father's spirit.
I'll take care of this. Please, hide.
Jin doesn't argue a wink, he just immediately trusts Yuna.
Oh, don't hurt me!
Yuna would make a really good actress, and I would know, I did theater in high school. Jin might have paid a little too much attention to this stealth kill. Match cut to young Jin.
The sword of Clan Sakai has saved lives and ended wars.
And the blade continues to do so with Jin.
What does honor mean to you?
Protecting people, the ones who can't fight for themselves.
Jin's definition that comes from his heart is what he lives by once the Mongols invade, so sticking to what do you believe in. Also, all of Jin's instincts as a child are what he eventually reverts back to as he becomes the ghost.
Not her samurai.
That little cheeky smile. Control yourself, Jin. Oh, listen to that score. We are playing a samurai movie. And check out the reflection of the sword illuminating his eyes. Doesn't even put his helmet on to face Jin, and he backs the cockiness up. Jin gives Kodan a scar on his cheek just like him. The first step to Jin and the Mongols not being so different. And like, if you can make God bleed and such. And is this dishonorable? My research suggests there was only honor in combat amongst those who upheld the same ideals, so I'm gonna go with no. But for the game, it reads as dishonorable. So almost right away, the Mongols are changing Jin into the ghost. Throughout my playthrough, I never found any blood fountains, of which could be found in Sanjuro, so I'm going to say this rapid move of blood is a small nod to that exaggeration. But if there is, and I just missed it, let me know in the comments down below.
Your father is the wind at your back.
Second piece of evidence that the guiding winds are Jin's fathers. The clouds above are dark, yet the sun still shines through. It's like the world is responding to the Mongol invasion, but Jin's surviving.
Father, how do I save him?
And evidence number 3 that the winds are Jin's father, they literally blow after he asks this. And we big brains know that if it comes in a third, it's important!
Bastards scared off the horses.
They're samurai mounts, trained to return to their masters.
Sucker Punch didn't have to explain why the horsies come back, but they did, and it makes sense. Don't have much to say about this shot. Maybe the tree is representative of Jin in this moment, but I just thought that this was a really pretty cinematography and wanted you guys to know. So I guess pampas grass planted in front of your house in modern times signals to others that you're a swinger? I guess it fits since Jin swings between samurai and the ghost. Jesus, beautiful title card. The music built up with the release into this gorgeous field with the sun shining down and Jin leaning to touch the grass. Does it get any better than this? While writing this script, I literally watched it like 4 times over, so no.
I promised my uncle I'd never break our code.
Then bend it. To save my family. And what's left of yours.
The Way of the Ghost is such a great theme for this game, and Jin's character, coming in softly as Yuna asks him to bend the samurai code. Notice that the objective says stab the Mongol in the back, instead of kill the Mongol. It's a small difference, but with where Jin is at, very powerful, and makes the player feel the weight of this choice even more. See what I mean? Jin really internalized that tummy stabbing.
Your arrow wounded him.
This is when a beast is most dangerous.
Kinda like Jin in the present, no? It's just some simple juxtaposition, but that doesn't mean it isn't worthy of a win. It only took about 10 years, but we finally have NPCs that sprint with you at your pace.
Lord Shimura.
Star Wars, a new wipe.
Renowned sake brewer. And the best swindler on the island.
His face dropped so fast. Whoa, look at that shadow. Super unnecessary from a development standpoint, but super cool that they went the extra mile to do that for our enjoyment. No one would have said a word if it was just a glow of light around him.
I need you to trust me, Tuka. I need your help.
I'm a freaking sucker for good naming schemes and leitmotifs. So when The Way of the Ghost comes in as Jin is building his legends, getting people to follow what will become the ghosts makes me smile every time. Did I already win this like 2 minutes ago? I did. I just love it that much.
Your brother wasn't the only prisoner in Azamo Bay,
You're going to save them.
and make their captors suffer.
This is the first time it happens, but a ton of side tales branch naturally off of the main tale.
Stop here. We need to talk. This bow.
I love that Sucker Punch has Ishikawa boof this bow. Why do I love it? Because they know he boofed it, and they know we'd notice him boofing it, but they know that we just accept it. A trend that is becoming the norm is super duper minimal HUDs. Giving us more game and less systems to look at is always welcome. Aw, they're cute together. I bet they live a long and happy life by the end of the game.
My husband.
Lord Adachi died a warrior's death.
Did he though? Like, he asked for the 1v1 and it wasn't received, so I guess just asking for the challenge grants a warrior's death? I'm not sure. So either Jin's lying to spare Masako's feelings or he's telling the truth to comfort her. There's a win in here somewhere. I've waited long enough. Have you seen a more beautiful game? I reckon not. The art direction here is stunning. I have more to say about it, but I'll wait until later. I guess no more F's in the chat, now it's R2s.
He is a vengeful spirit. Back from the grave to slaughter the Mongols.
We honestly have Yuna to thank for creating the legend of the ghost.
Jin Sakai. Ryuzo, you look like a scarecrow.
You've looked better too. Can I have my hat?
Tension, 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 and comforting music to relieve the tension along with their lives.
Do we have a deal?
I'll think about it.
A good writing technique applied here in many other places is having some external force disrupt the conversation as to push the resolution of said conversation to a later date. There are many different reasons a writer might choose to do this. Here, I think it's a simple one as gameplay has to happen. It's a game, so it's slicing time. But this combat still serves a narrative function as well. Watching these two whoop these Mongols with synchronous standoff kills add to the history these two share, and the capability of Ryuzo.
Samurai follow a path of...
Star Wars, the wipe strikes back.
They'll kill you. If they do, avenge me. And take their food.
That's not funny.
Who said Jen was flat and boring protagonist? I see a hilarious Joker here.
You read Mongolian?
If it's in Chinese, I can make out some of it.
Since when?
Since I had to read Sun Tzu.
In one line, we were shown, I want to say rift, schism? Slight difference with connotations as these two are not as close as they once were and that one is superior than the other. What I'm getting at is Jin beat Ryuzo in the duel. This was his plan, and now since he can kind of read Chinese, he's the reason Ryuzo might get more food. Also, he's read The Art of War. There's a lot of reasons for Ryuzo to feel less than and lends to his eventual betrayal. I know, I'm kind of going crazy.
I would have had that Mongol if you hadn't shown up.
I know.
Humility.
Don't let them see you coming.
Well, he followed your advice, just not against the people you wanted.
Some of them are calling you the ghost.
He's the ghost, he's the ghost, he's the ghost, he's the ghost.
An iron hook with a rope attached to the end. I call it a Kaginawa.
Takanawa, from what I could find, means rise high and full swing. So, apt.
After all I did to keep them alive.
We still have enough to save your men. I've worked with less.
Jin, you've worked with none before. Like, literally. You still had broken armor and no sword before, so, counter humility? Sucker Punch in interviews have stated so many times that they wanted a grounded approach to the game, and they killed it all over the place. But this grappling hook is ridiculous. And I love it.
Taka, I owe you.
Jin, no you don't. The hook was him owing you for saving his life. You say one more humble thing and I'm gonna fall in love with you.
My men said the Mongols didn't hurt them. They fed them.
The samurai are playing checkers while the Mongols are playing 4D chess. Star Wars, Return of the Wipe.
We sneak in and catch the enemy while they're sleeping.
I'm like a thief.
Or a ghost.
Oof, that subtle small delivery holds so much weight.
Help me save my uncle, and he will reward your men.
The soundtrack trilling along with Ryuzo as he mills over Jin's offer, only to stop when he comes to his decision.
I need to protect mine.
Ryuzo's betrayal makes sense and is set up decently well. From our quests with him, we got his jealousy harbored at Jin and how much he cares for the Straw Hats. And during the fight, he refers to them as his family, so he takes the easy way out that is guaranteed. For our first real boss, Sucker Punch did not hold back. This boss arena is drop dead gorgeous. I hope to one day see it on a PS5 upgrade.
It's not too late.
Even after trying to kill each other, Jin offers peace.
Then we'll sing songs of our victory.
Sometimes a simple reaction shot is all you need. The look on Jin's face says it all, and it's framed beautifully.
We will win this war. As samurai.
Shimura never misses a moment to remind us that the samurai's way is the only way.
You have an impressive home. Won't you welcome me inside?
How respectful, complimenting and loving it so much you want to see it closer.
Open the gate! Open the gate!
Even though we are all still mad at Ryuzo, this is hard to watch, and the performance from Leonard Wu is heartbreaking. Mongol invasion, whatever. Near-death experience, that's kind of the point of being samurai. But your best friend trying to kill you? Yeah, I bet you'd meditate about that right where it all went down.
I don't seek revenge, but I will fight for peace.
Ellie could take a page out of that book.
I didn't call for Ronin.
My lord, what's your business with Goro?
Private.
We'll be back.
I love when Jin gets to flex his power and influence. Helps my power fantasy. 2 samurai just charging for it? Sure, samurai OP, I guess.
A weapon of the enemy, not samurai.
Saving our people is all that matters.
You know how to fire this.
Shimura bending his rules again, building the argument against the samurai. Neat little burst fire machine gun? Not much else to say about that.
One day our people will look to you as their leader, backed by all the power of the Shogun.
You're right about that, Shimura. He just won't be backed by the Shogun.
We can't sneak past an army.
Taka, I stake my life on your metalwork. Now it's your turn to trust me.
You know how I always try to learn something from every game I play? As Taka was talking here, I literally said out loud, "Stop being a little bitch," only to hear Jim's more measured response. I was like, oh, that was a much better way to handle that.
Who's this? Your servant?
I was born here.
Glad that Yuna speaks for herself. Jen doesn't even flinch to speak for her. Yuna's a good example of doing a female character correctly. These clothes physics are out of this world. I know this is tech we understand now, but don't y'all remember like that parachute from Shadow of the Colossus on the PS2? You could count the squares in that thing. Now look what we are. Jin's no stick in the mud and drinks. Quite a bit too.
We heard they found her a month later, face down in the street.
Mood.
Sometimes, our only choice is to walk away from everything we know.
Jin was like, it's been like 6 hours. Should I say the thesis of this game in case someone missed it? Our first big battle of the game. Games are getting insanely close to having that grand siege battle feel. I hope that next-gen consoles can make these sorts of battles feel out of this world. Jin's so badass, he doesn't even need the right stance to take on this shield leader. Oh, did chopping this dude's head off and seeing everyone cower before you feel amazing. Then to give us ghost mode, this right here is when we really feel like the legend this game has been building us up to be. I mentioned my power fantasy being fulfilled earlier, but now it's in maximum overdrive.
You say you are not soldiers. You are warriors.
This speech is simple and cliche, but so cathartic. You get to stop moving and write haiku in this game. What other game do you get to write haiku? The sound design of Jin's breath is muffled once the mask is on. Attention to detail.
I too have pride in family, and I know what it's like to live in their shadow.
Living in the shadow of Genghis can't be an easy life.
You want to divide and conquer. You did it to Ryuzo. Not us.
Patrick Gallagher might just be my favorite performance of the cast. He brings a lot of life to Koten Khan. While looking up actors for the con, I noticed that most actors in this game look very close to their actual voice actor. I'm loving that studios are doing this, and I'm so glad that this is a predominantly Asian cast, as it should be. Very unlike Gods of Egypt. Gotta give him points for trying, at least. Brutal.
Your friend died for you. Now I must find another.
Koten knows he can't kill Jin, as that'd just make him martyr him. He's gotta kill his image first. What he represents. Right here, this scream is a turning point for Jin's character. He can't hold this in and lets go of control over his emotions. Whatever the Khan is doing to keep the torches lit, awesome. Keep doing that, Koten.
I'm not leaving him.
Just like at the start, Jin doesn't question and just draws his sword right alongside her. Oh, Taka's bandana with the dragonfly on it. Kage knows Jin is in distress and just wants to comfort him. It's a good thing this horse will be with us for the rest of our journey.
Ghost has no limits.
A little poison foreshadowing for you. Those red trees above symbolizing the red blood that will flow on the battlefield. Jin uses poisoned and beheaded. It's super effective. Unless caught.
I gave them hope. You did nothing.
Can't handle the truth, uncle? The window broken behind the two is representative of their relationship. Broken, with nothing to hide. And finally, we are granted the ghost armor. From Taka, no less. Everyone deserves a fan like Taka.
But I was just by.
Jin walks to Ryuzo with his sword at his neck, but backs down as Ryuzo steps towards him. The conflict in Jin is on physical display here.
Goodbye, Ryuzo.
Jin still has his honor, but only for the worthy. He gives Ryuzo an honorable death, but not the Mongols. This distinction makes the conflict that is about to ensue between Shimura and Jin even more powerful, as we all know Jin is on the right, hitting like Goldilocks.
I am not your son. I am the ghost.
Damn, what a statement. In front of everyone. And this camera pan to Shimura is brilliant. Did anyone else get flashbacks to Shadow of the Colossus with this? See, where the Khan feeds his horse to his men after one arrow, Jin lets Kage carry on until he literally can't, and he gives the horsey a proper burial. Even the snowy areas are beautiful. It's not just the color, it's everything about the presentation that comes together to craft this experience. As I climbed this, I said to myself, I'm the ghost, I'm the ghost, I'm the ghost, I'm the ghost. Which is what I'd say anytime I would do ghost-like things. I don't know, just thought you should know.
Look at the waves. They're flat.
The kind you see before a storm.
In actual history, the Mongols were beaten back from Tsushima because of a bad storm. And here we are getting a storm, but instead it's what joins it that destroys the Mongols.
To do this, we'll need Mongol weapons.
A simple task for a master thief.
We'll need fighters too.
Sucker Punch could have padded the game out and forced us to go with Yuna, but they made the right call having us not.
A small force could distract the Mongols, while I get inside Port Izumi and kill the Khan.
Kill the Khan. Sounds like a fun arcade game. This one actually stays with you this time.
Had to strip you half naked just to reach town.
I wouldn't be here without you, Yuna.
I can't lose you, Jin.
So glad that stories have matured and allow platonic relationships such as this. Lord Shimura actually pulled through. Remember our thing about thirds? This is our third and last time we see the Khan drink out of his goblet. A last meal on death row, if you will. These eye close-ups paying some wonderful homage. Now the Khan wears a helmet. Jin's exploits really have made an impact. Too bad the helmet doesn't help him. Jin cleans his blade the exact same way he did the first time he fought the Khan. The Khan's battle is fitting. He's no honor-bound man. He tried the 1v1, but as soon as he started losing, he tried to poison, blow up, and outnumber Jin. The Khan meets his end with splendor. I almost made this shot the thumbnail. Yuna carrying Jin. Again. Bookends.
You can still remarry.
Aich. Ugh, you can hear the trepidation in Jin's voice here.
You have no honor. And you are a slave to it.
Our final day together. It is beautiful.
Everything leading up to this duel is so tragic and perfect. All they've been through, they keep their honor and respect and still love one another. The red and white leaves from the trees spilling over the battlefield but never mixing. The white of Clan Sakai and the red of Shimura. And Sucker Punch didn't pull a punch when it came to this ending. This ending fight is so beautiful with the colors and having it all bathed in the glow of the setting sun. And of course they were fighting in front of a setting sun, as the sun has set on their relationship.
My punishment.
And the score. Let's just toss some wins out for it. So breathtaking from start to finish in every way it's utilized.
And a father.
Thank you, my son.
Even in the very end, when one has to kill the other, they take a moment to recognize the love they still share. God, it's all just so tragic and great. I haven't played a PS5 yet, but while Shimura is dying, you feel his heartbeat slow and stop through the vibration of the controller. I never understood how much a difference actually feeling something physically could have until then. Feeling the life leave Shimura's body changed the entire scene for me, and it gave it so much more weight. I cannot wait to get my hands on a PS5. This scream made me feel sick. Hearing Jin like that, I can't even put into words how bad I felt for him and how icky I felt making him do that. I know it's just a game, but damn was I immersed in this story. Jin finally looks the part of Sakai and the ghost with this white dye. I don't think I've ever seen a game snuffed harder at an award show than Ghost of Tsushima. Nominated for 7 awards and only won 1 of them. Now, award shows are just that. Award shows and don't mean anything in the grand scheme, but I'm sure that I speak for everyone when I say it's frustrating to see when a masterpiece such as this game comes around and is treated like that. This is Game of the Year 2020, one of the best PS4 exclusives and a beautiful send-off to the last console generation. At the very least, the award Sucker Punch did win was for art direction, which they damn well better have with their reimagining of Tsushima. And I do mean just that, as their rendition of the island isn't a one-for-one creation. Obviously not, as that would be impossible, but Tsushima Island is actually mostly covered in forest, which was not conducive to the game they were creating. So instead they focused on the feel and authenticity of Japanese land and culture. God, did they do a wonderful job. There's no other game out there that makes you want to take screenshots more than this game. If you look up the definition of every frame of painting, you'd find Ghost of Tsushima. This world is dripping in color. Sucker Punch purposely created 40 distinct biomes to make each and every location of Tsushima stand out. On top of that, they typically chose one color and focused the biome around that color, which you could surmise easily just taking one look at the Golden Forest, the Sakai Estate, or the area surrounding Lord Shimura's castle. I think I can confidently say that I haven't played a prettier game. I'm racking my brain, but nothing can step to Tsushima. Sucker Punch was fearless in the art design, making sure to honor Japanese culture and bring a bold picture, all at once. A few things I want to mention quickly, but don't have much to elaborate with. Ghost of Tsushima has a wonderful sense of knowing when to slow down and not being afraid to. Most poignant with writing haiku, letting us sit for a moment and take in the world around us. Something we don't do much nowadays in games or in life. And I would be hung at the gallows by you guys if I didn't mention the stellar score for this game. Every track oozes beauty and elevates every single scene it's placed in. Never does the music not hit just right. Something to do is listen to the music part of photo mode and just stare at a landscape. It's one of the most serene feelings you can get in a game, just watching the world blow by. I sound like a broken record, but beautiful is the best word when describing most aspects in this game. Prepossessing. This game is prepossessing in all facets. There you go. New word to describe what I just experienced. I don't have much to say about the gameplay. It's super solid. Sucker Punch gives us a lot of tools to unlock, along with different skills to use against the Mongols. I opted to not really use many of the tools given to me as I wanted to try and walk a samurai path, as if it was a thing. But I also did this because nothing else feels better in this game than when you get into that flow state of parries and dodges when a horde is upon you. Which is the precise reason Sucker Punch opted for no lock-on mode. They wanted to encourage us to dance between our enemies. Of course there is lock-on during a duel, but there's only them and you. Animations are slick and smooth, and all the effects surrounding combat are top-notch. Slicing into enemies and hearing the blade cut through them immediately grabbed my attention. I'm not a psycho, I promise. The gameplay is rock solid and a joy to play. I can only imagine it just gets better from here. Ghost of Tsushima is a simple game. It has its moments where it switches up the formula, but by and large, Ghost of Tsushima is what Ubisoft open world games wish they were. And that is high praise in my book. Ubisoft has had a lot of good ideas, but haven't been able to get them across in a game since forever. Ghost of Tsushima has no issue with this. The world isn't bloated. It's not a collection nightmare. You actually want to liberate Tsushima and help outside characters because the main story actually made you care. Back to it being simple. It is. And that's a strength it possesses. With the simplistic nature of it all, Sucker Punch can really hone in on what makes each element good and make it great. One such aspect is Jin's main story. It's a super simple premise, but draws us in anyway, of a man who leaves behind everything he knows and believes in order to save his people. It's not a new story, but is told so well by Sucker Punch, I don't care. This story can't be judged in a vacuum, as it's the sum of its parts that create the beautiful whole. The art design, the soundtrack, the performances, all come together to make this story what it is. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's kind of how most stories are told. But I just want to emphasize it because it's a great example that you don't need to be some groundbreaking philosopher to write a moving story. The ending confrontation had me on edge and heartbroken. Jin and the relationship he develops with everyone around him is the focus of this game. You might say it's the relationship between him and Shimura, but it's about Jin and his island. To me, at least. So much of the side content is dedicated to Jin interacting and helping others. At the core of this tale, it's about what we will do for them. Of course, there are the themes of honor, sacrifice, and tradition, but those all eventually find their way back to what are we willing to do for others. And I love this focus. It makes Jin so easy to like as a protagonist, but also makes us understand every character's motivations when inspecting under that lens. There is such a plethora of characters that I feel everyone can find a version of themselves in at least one, and I challenge you to find at least one character in Tsushima that you can personally see yourself in, or relate to. I want you to do this because through examining this, you might get a little insight about what you might be willing to do for others, or what you're not. As much as I hate to admit it, I personally see myself in Ryozo. I won't go in more detail right now, sorry. Once we know what we're willing to do for others, we can finally create our boundaries, and with those we develop our circle, and our lives. Understanding oneself and not just this nature, but in all facets is important to leading meaningful lives. Waking up day after day not questioning or exploring what you truly believe in, or following someone or something blindly, is a quick way to lose yourself or never even find it in the first place. Trust me, I would know. If not trust me, trust Jin, his story. Throughout his story, everything he knew in his life was challenged, and he could have gone the path of least resistance, but he didn't. And I'm confident that he didn't do it just for his people, but he did it for himself too. As walking the path of the ghost was his purpose, and finding that is what brought him meaning to his life. He's a lucky man in that regard, as I wish it could be that easy for all of us. That's really my main takeaway from this game. Now I am 3 for 3 in my latest videos with pulling life lessons out of video game narratives. Yes. But I've been really enjoying reflecting on these stories and how they could impact my own life, or at least get me to think about it at a minimum. I understand that might be a little hokey for some of you, and I get that. But I urge you to keep an open mind with everything you experience. Ghost of Tsushima is among the most beautiful prepossessing experiences I've had with the game. Through its well-crafted simplicity and gorgeous design, Sucker Punch was able to create not just a fun gameplay experience, but a rich and meaningful narrative one. Getting overly complicated just muddies the waters of what truly matters in nature, and when we can peel all of that back, we can make meaningful progress in this silly thing called life.